Francis, a reoccurring segment we did during the All-Star Game voting was what the F was going on with All-Star Game voting. Well, now what the F is going on across the entirety of the NBA landscape in what has been far more exciting than anything we saw in actually the NBA playoffs.
You know, that's a very true statement.
It's been a little bit crazy. Can you keep up? You're a Twitter
I actually come to the point where I'm my ability to keep up with things is represented by my schedule's ability to stay on my laptop. It's
true. He came in a little bit late yesterday because Monday's a little ripped. So
look at this. Yeah, I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
Question. We'll save it for the end. The Cavs fired David Griffin, their GM, who should be. I mean, I think there's a lot of places he should be going like immediately. The Clippers being one of the places that would make a lot of sense and be a good pickup for them. The Knicks, if they can ever get their shit together. Multiple teams, but. Normally, when you see Cavs anything front office gets fired or a coach, you kind of think, well, what did LeBron do? Because LeBron does have this track record in the past of getting coaches or GMs fired for reasons being that he's the most important player on the team. So it's an understandable reason, but he's never really had that consistent coach. He's never really had consistent executives in the front office. This time, though, LeBron advocated for this back in April. So let's get to Dan Gilbert's statement, who's the owner of the Cavs and one of like the 7 worst human owners on the planet in all of sports. Really, he's up there. He's not like #1, but he's close. Here's his statement on the firing of David Griffin. This is the first element. He says the Cavs and the general manager David Griffin have mutually decided not to extend David's current contract, which ends on June 30th. And he goes on to thank him. What's interesting about this is he's released this statement, just replaced the name, because in LeBron James's Cleveland career, there has never been a GM who's gotten a contract extension, which is interesting. But LeBron back in April, Francis, according to ESPN, gets endorsement from LeBron James. So why would you make LeBron upset? LeBrexit 2018, Team Banana Boat in LA 2018. Get excited. It's always nice here. Can banana boat on the off days. Back-to-backs, that's a banana boat.
It wouldn't be a summer venture. It could just be a weekend thing. We could be having banana boats every single weekend.
Every weekend. LeBron lives here, part-time.
Part-time.
Chris Paul lives here most of the time because he's from here.
Dwayne Wade does not live here, but he's probably got a house here.
Probably got a house here.
It's just it's a go-to. He's definitely got a house here. This confuses me because from what reports suggest is like Dave Griffin was elbow deep in trades, like in trying to help bring either Jimmy Butler to the Cavs, which I think, in my opinion, one of the best two-way guards in the league, the best two-way guard you can get at the moment, and who's available.
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard, the last time I checked, is not available. So it's not exactly like he was just waiting by the pool, sipping a margarita, and was like, well, I guess I'm going to be fired. No, he was actually trying to get things done. And he wasn't even fired on his day off, like Tammy Prompter, who gets fired on a day off. But either way, that's a Wiley line. How'd you get fired on your day off?
You get fired on your day off.
So it seems to me that the Cavaliers have something that they are hiding at least, or they want to come out and say. And my opinion on this matter is they better get either Paul George or Jimmy Butler or LeBron James. And I know this sounds so childish, is going to be pissed. And everyone's like, it's just no, this guy is the reason why this team, of course, have been back to the finals. He's been the 7 straight. You really need to keep LeBron James happy. I don't care what your thoughts are about him or whether you think he's a baby or whether you think he's got too much control. It's actually refreshing to have a player almost have that amount of control rather than have the organization have control over everything and the bigger picture be controlled. Because when you go to the NFL, I mean, how many players have control? I mean, Tom Brady probably, or at least have influence at that point.
What I find so amazing about the NBA compared to the MLB and NFL, other places, is there's so much movement. There's a lot of movement in baseball too, but not, I mean, the level of movement in the NBA of the last couple of years is insanity. The NFL, a lot of contracts are set in stone, injury worries. There's some movement, like the big, like an Adrian Peterson, but at the back end of his career, moving to the Saints, I think he signed with, if I remember correctly. But you don't really see like franchise players like a Dwayne Wade or a LeBron James or a Chris Paul going and playing for multiple teams. Peyton Manning was, like, of the last couple of years, the biggest when he moved from the Colts to the Broncos, and you saw what happened. So it's not that it doesn't happen, it just doesn't happen nearly as much as the NBA. And let's get to the Woj tweets though, and then also Brian Windhorst, and of course LeBron subtweeting people. As David Griffin departs as Cavs just couldn't agree on future, source says Chauncey Billups expected to emerge as a candidate. Mr. Big Shot from the Pistons, and also
is he going to leave the big three?
That's what I'm worried about. He's playing with Steven Jackson on the killer threes.
Killer threes.
And people misunderstood. I sent out the tweet. I'll send this out. But Billups' relationship with Dan Gilbert and Ty Lue, and sources says he will consider as president of basketball operations, who'd make the GM hire. And then Brian Windhorst made this tweet out during the whole Cavs firing situation. Gilbert didn't consult with LeBron prior to parting with David Griffin. James had advocated for his extension. And lastly, always fun ways to throw pot shots at Dan Gilbert, the owner, because how do you get under Dan Gilbert's skin a little bit? You know, subtweet him. And he sent this tweet out right after he found out the news of David Griffin getting fired. If no one appreciated you, Griff, I did, and hopefully all the people of Cleveland, thanks for what you did for the team for 3 years. We got us one championship, which is entirely not about David Griffin. It's entirely thrown right at. All the replies were shade, just putting out the candles. Shade, shade.
It's so true. LeBron James is not going to be happy with this. And people out there will say, well, why does he need to be consulted? Again, it's because he helped deliver this team to a point where they're able to be the second best team at the moment in the NBA. They won a championship. He got what he said he was coming back to do. So yeah, this is clearly shade. He's not happy with the situation that's moving forward. And especially, as I mentioned, in amidst arguably one of the most important moments in the Cavaliers for next season. Like, this is one of the most important periods of time for them if they want to compete with a team that's so dominant that everyone is shit scared of facing them. This is not after, like, even if it would be weird if they won, but it's something that probably Dan Gilbert would do. It's arguably the worst time to make such a huge transition like this.
No, you're right. That's 100% right.
Because they have to make these trades or else they're gonna fall flat again against a team that's just going to get better.
You hit the nail on the head with that one. You don't fire your GM when you're in the midst of trying to make moves because it causes organizational chaos.
Yeah. Who's going to file and stuff like that, you know?
Who's going to put them into their respective folders? But in general, it's like this isn't the time to do it. Besides the fact that all these trade rumors, the draft is 2 days away. You just fired the guy who has a major say in who you're picking. And yeah, I get it. They don't have the top 10 pick. But the Spurs have been regularly drafting high quality players deep in the first round. And you could go on for days about how many good second round players are all NBA players or all-stars already. Isaiah Thomas, Draymond Green, Manu Ginobili, second round picks. There's gold in some of these drafts. So this is not the time to fire David Griffin. Do you think this will cause LeBron to reconsider 2018 and go play for Team Banana Boat, probably the Los Angeles Clippers? Jay Adonde tweeted, it would be the most Clippers thing ever to sign LeBron James the day after he starts to decline. Sorry, Dan. That's it. We're done. We move.